Vanakkam friends, Indian Financial System Part 2. As of June 2020, RBI has circulated around 26 trillion worth money in our economy. We all know that this money is with the household sector. How do we know that? If you have seen part 1 of this video, you could definitely know that. Kindly watch that video before watching this one so that you could understand things much more better. Let's start with an example. Mr. Arlanand is earning 50,000 every month. He is paying 3,000 as tax. He spends around 10,000 for his monthly expenses. He has two EMIs, one for his car and another one is for bike. For car it's 10,000 and for bike it's 5,000. All these things sums up around 28,000. Remaining he will be saving 22,000. Likewise, people save from thousands to crores every month. What happens if people keep the currency idle in their hands? The 26 trillion which was circulated will get stagnated. So how could we circulate this money which is in the hands of our people? The system which helps us to do so is known as the Indian financial system. It helps us to transfer the money from surplus sector to the needy sector. How are we going to do that? The first one which is going to help us is the financial intermediary. The intermediary will be standing between the surplus sector and the needy sector. The surplus sector it collects money from the surplus sector and transfers it to the needy sector. And the first one which comes under financial intermediary is our banks. With banks, we are going to tell people that the idle money in your hand is not going to fetch any income for you. Why don't you put your money as deposit in our banks so that you could get some interest in return? In this way, bank will collect money from people and then transfer that money to corporate sector, government sector, even to household sector for their consumption. There is an important point to note here. Let's take Tata Motors. They have got a loan from banks for manufacturing. They are manufacturing good number of cars, which is really good. But what happens if people don't have enough money to purchase that car? So here we have to empower our people to purchase the products which are being produced. How are we going to do that? By way of producing loans to them, they could purchase the cars which are produced. So we are not only providing loans for manufacturing, but also we are providing loan for purchasing the goods which are produced. Without providing such loans, the goods which are produced in our country will also get stagnated. Okay, so banks are collecting money from public. When someone is collecting money from public, we should be very cautious. So we have to keep a regulator to regulate them. Here comes RBI. So we will arrange RBI to regulate banks under RBI Act and Banking Regulation Act. So in our example, Mr. Anand has 22,000 in his hand as idle. So let's canvass him and make him deposit 10,000 in banks. So remaining he is having 12,000. And the next intermediary is non-banking financial company. So there are many rich people in our country. When they see banks, they will see a good opportunity. What they will see is, they see banks as collecting money or deposit for 6% and they are lending it for around 12%. What they will think is, why can't they just lend their own money to people and collect interest from them? What this will do is create an unorganized sector in the economy, which will also create problems between the borrower and the lender. The borrower could also cheat the lender, or the lender could cheat the borrower. So what are we going to do? We are going to call these rich people and ask them to start a company under Companies Regulation Act and get a certificate from RBI and to start a non-banking financial company so that they could lend their own gold loan, housing loan, car loan, two-wheeler loan or even business loan. We could also make them borrow money from banks for lending purpose. Shriram Finance, Muthoot, Cholamandalam, Bajaj Finance, all these people will be coming under non-banking financial companies. RBI will regulate non-banking financial companies. Okay, since Anand is having enough amount of idle money, let's make him purchase a mobile phone and a EMI from Bajaj Finance. So he is having 9,000 left in his hand. Till now, we have collected money with the help of an intermediary. So why can't we just go directly to the people and ask for money? We should have a market for that also, right? And the market for that is known as the financial market. Here, the government sector and the corporate sector will go directly to the people and ask them for debt. They will issue bonds to collect debt from the people directly. Here the debt is also classified into two types. One is long-term debt and another one is the short-term debt. For short-term debt, they will go to the money market. In money market, a government sector will issue treasury bills for collecting money from the people. A corporate sector will issue commercial paper to collect debt from the people. For long-term debt, say for example more than 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 35 years, then they will go to the debt market and they will issue bonds to get debt from people. There is another market known as the call money market and notice money market. While talking about banks, they are collecting money from one side and they are transferring it to another side. Sometimes banks will have surplus amount of money with them, and some banks might not have enough money or enough liquidity with them. At those times, these two banks should meet to exchange money. The surplus should give money to the banks which don't have enough money, and the call money market and the notice money market is a place they should meet. If a bank needs to borrow for a single day, then they will use the call money market. If it is for 14 days, then they will go for the notice money market. We have already collected a good amount of money from our people. Is there any other way through which we could collect some more money? There is a way, which is the capital market. While a company is going to expand, it will be in need for a huge amount of money. In that case, they could go to the people directly and they will issue shares. And they will tell them anyone who is going to purchase a share is going to be the owner of the company. And they are eligible for a profit from the company which they will get by way of a dividend. Let's say a company is in need for 50,000 rupees. For example, they will issue 500 shares, each share worth rupees 100. And as I have already mentioned, anyone who is going to purchase the share will become the owner of that company and also will be eligible for a dividend from the company. In this capital market, there are two markets, which are primary market and the secondary market. In the primary market is a place where the company will go when it issues the share for the first time. Say for example, I have purchased the share which was issued by Tata Motors in the primary market. After 5 or 6 months, I will be in need for money. I have to sell these shares to get my money. What happens if I go to Tata Motors and ask them for money? Then this total system will get collapsed. So there will be a secondary market. The secondary market is a place where buyers and sellers of shares will meet. So if I have to sell the shares which I have bought from Tata Motors, I will go to the secondary market and I will sell the shares and get back my money. I think we have collected a good amount of money from our people. So let's go to the foreign people. There is a market known as the forex market. This market is for exchanging one currency to another currency. Using this market, we can ask the foreign people to invest in our government debt, corporate debt, also in our share market. By doing this, they could also get a good return, and our country will also get foreign currency for us. While talking about intermediaries, I have mentioned only about 2 intermediaries, and there are 2 more. The first one is mutual funds. We all know that investing in share market, even though have a market risk, gives a good return. But without having any knowledge about share market, investing in share market is a great risk. So how would we invest in share market? With the help of mutual funds, we could invest in share market. Mutual funds act as an intermediary, and they have some expertise in share market. So we could invest in share market through these mutual funds. Not only in share markets, but also in government securities. We could invest in government securities through mutual funds. Here, mutual funds are regulated by Securities Exchange Board of India. So let's make our Anand to invest around 6,000 rupees in mutual funds. And the next intermediary will be insurance. Insurance industry collects premium from us, and they insure our life and our property. All the money which are being collected as premium will be invested directly in share market or government securities or corporate bonds. And insurance companies are regulated by Insurance Regulatory Development Authority. So let's make our Anand to invest around 3,000 rupees in insurance company. There is also another important thing in Indian financial system, and that's the financial instrument. What is a financial instrument? I am going to deposit around 1 lakh in bank. For that, the bank will give me a deposit receipt which tells me how much I have deposited, what is the rate of interest, what's the maturity date, and how much will I get due at the maturity date. And this deposit receipt or the proof which I am getting back from the bank is known as the financial instrument. Let's go back to Anand. The 3,000 which he is going to pay as tax will go straight away to the government sector. The 10,000 for monthly expense will go to business sector by way of food expense or clothing expense, etc., etc. The 10,000 he deposited in bank as a car loan, bike loan, mobile loan. Everything will go to bank. From bank it will go to government sector or corporate sector. The money he has invested in mutual funds, insurance will straight away go to government sector or corporate sector. So by the end of month, Anand will be without a single penny. Please don't think that we have collected everything from Anand and we have left him without anything. Definitely no. Apart from consumptional expenses like monthly expense, EMI, car EMI, bike EMI, and mobile EMI, the things which he has invested in banks, mutual funds, insurance will be really helpful for his future consumptions. Not amounts like 20 or 22,000 could only be taken into the financial system. Even 12 rupees, 330 rupees, 42 rupees could also be get into Indian financial system. Even we are also doing the same to our customers. How are we doing that? Suraksha Bima Yojana, Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana, Atal Pension Yojana. What are we doing? We are getting 12 rupees, 330 rupees and 42 rupees from our customers. This money will be sent to the insurance sector. From there it will go straight away to the government sector or business sector. So this is how we are collecting the money which is kept idle in people's hand. And only by way of collecting this money, our economy is running properly. Thank you.